Sup YouTube, it's Decklists TCG here and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the two regionals that happened this weekend. It actually was the Dortmund regionals as well as the Joinville regionals over in Brazil. The one in Germany and Dortmund actually was with 1,815 players, which is also the regional I actually attended. So we're going to be checking out the results of that tournament. We're going to be checking out some unique deck lists and seeing what actually converted into that day 2 meta. And then we're also going to be taking a look at Joinville regionals, where of course there was around 600 players, 578 to be exact. We're also going to be doing the exact same thing, checking out which deck lists perform really well and what the winning lists look like. So if you guys are excited for today's upload, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Only takes one tiny second every time, but does help out the channel tremendously. And without further ado, let's dive into this video while we check out the Dortmund regionals here. 1,815 players. I also attended that regionals. Unfortunately, my day 2 did not go so well because the Charizards with Dusknoir and Briar really got the better of me. So I only got 78th place, unfortunately. So it's not too bad, but it's not too good anyway. So it's a little bit evening out. I got championship points, I got a booster box and all that good stuff. You can check out the vlog that I did in the description below. The vlog actually is with some editing thrown in there, so you have a little bit of an understanding of which decks I actually came across. So yeah, there's a lot of players actually in day 2. There was 161 players in day 2 of this regionals, and this is also with the new structure, meaning you need to go 6x to actually advance. That means you have to win 6 rounds or you go 503 in order to make it to day 2. Only 8 rounds, but you need to get, of course, a hold of that 18 match points. So yeah, the cool thing is that Ryoki Okada from Japan actually won, meaning that this person was able to get a world championship invite, even though he typically goes to the TPC structure instead of the TPCI. You know how that goes. It's very cool to see people abroad actually getting their world's invites and the Western tournament. So that's super nice as a little something I wanted to mention here. This is the exact 60. I was 1 card off with my video on this exact 60. So I was trying to check out the list actually in action when the stream was happening. So I could be the first person being able to showcase the list. I was 1 card off, which is not too bad, but you have an understanding here. Dusknoir with Dragapult EX was eventually the way Dragapult was able to win the tournament, not with Pidgeot EX, not with Barrel, not with Zatu, anything like that. It is going to be with only Tatsugiri and some support Pokemon. 2 copies of Rotom V to draw cards with the instant charge. There's Luminion V to fetch a supporter of choice, and of course Pheasantipity if a Pokemon got knocked out during the opponent's last turn. So a very streamlined list where you're going to be able to get out Dragapult EX attacking by the 2nd turn when you go first. It's very aggressive. You have the 3 Ultra Ball and the 4 candy to make that happen, and you can also waste your candies to evolve into Dusknoir, and then the Dusknoirs will be there to sprinkle some damage left and right. The cool thing with being able to spread damage, you're giving up prize cards, meaning that Iono is a little bit more powerful, and you can also force the opponent into a Roxanne turn, which is nice. With the addition of using Phantom Dive, you're going to be able to sprinkle damage across the opponent's entire field with the help of the Dusclops or the Dusknoir. So a very cool situation indeed. So this is the exact 60. Big shout out to, of course, Ryoki being able to win the tournament over here in the Western world. Is super nice. Then we have the 2nd place list, Lugia by Rahul Reddy. This is the exact 60. He actually played for like Worlds for Baltimore as well. So he's been rocking the scene with this exact 60. And he's a fan of using Squawkabilly and Lugia VSTAR. He also has the 1-1 Chinchino line, the Weirdeer V, Raikou in the package as well, together with the Earthen Vessel and a single copy of the Lightning Energy, meaning you can attack with Raikou as well as attack with the Iron Hand. So I haven't tested out Raikou yet in the Lugia build, but I can understand the appeal, definitely with the help of the new Stadium card, allowing like decks like Palkia or Terapagos going wide on their board. Not only does Raikou hit weakness against Palkia V-Star, you can also make sure you can one-shot Terapagoses because they go wide on their own board. So there are very cool things about this Raikou, and not only that, you can also hit Pidgeot EX for weakness. There's also an Iron Bundle in here, and 2 copies of Mesagosa, 2 copies of Nazball, and that's about it. So cool list for sure, and it has been doing really, really well. Then we have Jelle van Kampen, the Goldango soldier, its strongest soldier, I might add here. This actually got 3rd place, and I believe Jelle also got 2nd in the last regionals. So, last regionals in Dortmund. So that's actually kind of crazy. Also with Goldango, still using the 1/1 Palkia in there. There's the Barrel and the Pheasantipede, so you can draw a ton of cards. So you can see a ton of energies and make it rain upon the opponent with, of course, the attack of Goldango. You can use coin bonus if you're in the active position to draw 2 cards. When you're on the bench, it's only 1 card. You have the Cologne and Prime Catcher combo going your way. There's a switch as well as the Turo in here, so even if you're up against something like a Snorlax block, there's definitely something you can do. Definitely with Cologne, Turo, Prime Catcher, and Switch, you should be able to get the win there. There's also the Cypher Maniac's code breaking, allowing you to put 2 cards on top of the deck. Not only does this combo well with Radiant Greninja, it combos well with Coin Bonus, B-Barrel, and Pheasantipede as well. So I do understand the appeal of playing 3 copies of that in this list. And yeah, it's just Goldango. Who would have thought Goldango is still so good in this meta? 3rd place right there. There we have Stefan Ivanov. Okay, there is a lot of recognizable names in that top 8. Very cool indeed. This is going to be the 60 that people will be grabbing towards if they're interested in playing Palkia with Dusknoir. There's a 1/0 line of Greninja EX in there. This can actually be very nice up against decks like Iron Thorns, for example, or if you go up against something like a Miraidon deck, you're going to be able to, of course, rely on that Greninja to take a lot of prize cards with that. Definitely in combination with Blood Moon can push you over the edge for sure. There is a lot of turbulence behind, Tracking Shoes, Pokestop, Radiant Greninja, but yeah, on top of that, there's still the Squack ability, so you can just easily establish your board with a lot of Duskull, and then by turn 2, Candy Dusknoir, evolve into Palkia, and there's a combination where you can use Moonlight Shuriken of the Radiant Greninja in combination with Dusknoir to spread damage all across the opponent's field. So very nice to see the 60 doing well, and as expected, this is the preferred way to be playing Palkia over, of course, stuff like the, yeah, there's just a lot of lists out there with Terapagos and stuff as well, but this is the most successful build. Then we have Jan Hausmann from Germany with the Raging Bolt list, and the funky part about this Raging Bolt list is that it actually comes back with a 1/0 line of Dusknoir and a Candy as well. The Candy you can also fetch out through the means of Pokestop, so out of nowhere, this Dusknoir in there can force a Briar turn, which I find pretty hilarious. Is it the most consistent thing? Probably not, and I personally would not recommend it, but it does give you guys some options. Definitely because this list is a little bit turbo based in the means that you do have access to Tracking Shoes, you do have access to Squack ability, Radiant Greninja, and if you go second hand, find that Sala, you can do a lot of crazy things. And the Dusknoir can force a turn where you can actually use Briar when the opponent least expects it, or if you want to just hit something on the bench that is going to be able to evolve. So let's say you go first, establish a Duskull, have your yeah, a Raging Bolt set up, and the opponent only gets out, like, for example, to Charmander. You can get rid of the opponent's entire field with that situation. This list actually is not playing Pokemon Catcher, so they had to make room for something, didn't they? Okay, moving forward, there was Stefan Law from the United Kingdom with Iron Thorns. This Iron Thorns list also comes packed with Mimikyu and the Cornerstone. To compensate for that, we do see a one-off Penny. Not that it's going to happen most of the time, but it lowers your situation where you start off with Iron Thorns. On the other hand, you give up less mulligans, and there's a way you can use Penny. Cornerstone as well as Mimikyu are very hard Pokemon to deal with in the first place, so I do understand the appeal of playing more Pokemon, so there's going to be less mulligans. Crushing Hammer is part of the squad, and definitely they did scratch the Pokemon catchers to add in those extra colorless tendency and scratch out, actually I add in some more of these wall Pokemon, definitely with Legacy Energy. Cornerstone can also start swinging, and in combination with Lost City and a high amount of Boss's Orders, you can definitely do something crazy. Moving forward, Glenn Bowens, the only person from Belgium being able to get into the top 8 with Miraidon. A true Miraidon soldier we see here, and this is actually a hybrid build of like playing Zero Area Under Depth in combination with that Academy at Night Stadium. A very cool situation that could happen is that Raikou becomes your main attacker, meaning your generators need to hit less, because of course one energy of a generator can mean Raikou can attack with manual attachment. I love the inclusion of a Blood Moon in the list. I'm always a big fan of that. The list is playing Secret Box, allowing you to, of course, yeah, get a lot of stuff from the deck. deck, whether you want a generator, one of your tool cards, another Arven as the supporter. It's a very strong card to pull and is technically a 5th way to draw into an electric generator. There is the Forest Sealstone, which works on not only Raikou but also on the Raichu V. Raichu V was in there not only because you can just blow up on the opponent in one shot at one point if they're not able to respond, but also can be a way you can deal with pesky Cornerstone Ogerpons, which are sometimes very hard to deal with. The Raichu can go for the one shot with that situation. Of course, the one of Zapdos in combination with Vitality Band can push you over the edge against something like a Raging Bolt, and not that you need that too often because now Raikou can actually deal with Raging Bolts instead. So not sure about the stadium counts. I know I prefer like 3-0 area under depth, but 1 copy of the Academy at night could be very funky if you want to put an energy on top or protect yourself from some Iono plays. I do understand the appeal of that. Okay, moving forward, there is 8th place James de Boer from Great Britain, and there is going to be Lugia VSTAR. This list is a little bit funky because it plays Torton and it also plays Klefki. We did see people in the Japan Champions League over in Tokyo playing Torton and also playing Klefki in those top 16 lists, so it's a little bit a hybrid of those. And with the help of Klefki, you might have a great time against something like, for example, a Raging Bolt, where you're able to push that Klefki in the active. If you're not able to push that away, no more Teal Dance, no more Radiant Greninja, no more Squawkabilly. Does seem like a very great appeal. And the Torton allows you up against something like a Charizard when they don't expect a Lumineon, or if you discarded the Blood Moon, you can also reuse that with the means of Torton. So can also get rid of some 2-price bench hitters to transform them into other Pokemon if you want. A very interesting take on Lugia again. So Lugia getting 2 slots into that top 8, so does yeah, make sure that the list is still fine. Then 9th place, unfortunately, Tord Ratcliffe, with that ID was not able to get, of course, into that top 8 that he desired. So, but this is going to be the Terapagos list with Dusknoir. I already showcased a similar list like this on the channel. It is very scary to be up against because with Pidgeot they can get any card they want, but also with Jewel Seeker, Noctowl, and with Dusknoir by your side and the Candies and the Night Stretchers, you're going to be able to win the game in approximately 2 turns, which is very scary to deal with. There's still 2 copies of the Bouffalant in there, which can sometimes be your saving grace if you want to protect yourself against the Charizard going crazy on you. So yeah, Terapagos almost got into that top 8. You know, have the asymmetrical top cut nowadays, so you can count it into a top cut list, right? There's a Torton in here, very cool indeed. If the opponent at least expects something to happen, like Torton, Duskull, Candy, Dusknoir can definitely be very funky indeed. All right, what else? We're going to be talking about some more lists that we haven't talked about yet. There's Regidrago here with Johan Bersazac from France. A very similar list like the list people have been playing at the World Championship. So the Regidrago VSTAR is not going anywhere. It's still a consistent deck that performs pretty well. And yeah, what else do we see unique here is Mateusz from Poland being one of Bennett's true lovers here. Item lock with the Gravity Gemstone. I think that's a very cool combo. Still having that Gardevoir package shown in here. Still 1 memory skip. There's the Spiritomb to shut down Rotom V, Lumineon V, all that stuff, which is super cool. And if you are able to trap opponents, you can instantly go for the Radiant Alakazam time and time again. Definitely with Counter Catcher, Prime Catcher, and the Puppet offering Banette to get back Boss's Orders. You can just strap opponents and use the what is it again? The Everlasting Darkness to make sure they are trapped. And also in combination with Monkey Dory, there's a lot of stuff that can go your way for sure. If you get damaged a little bit, you can move it around. So item lock still around. Any other unique decks? There was a top 16 Gardevoir with Matthias Cohen-Solal from France. So a classic list playing Unfair Stamp, the Double TM Evo, the Double TM Devo, and also coming back with Klefki in the list. I think it's not bad. And Enhanced Hammer for the Lugia matchup, but also could work, funny enough, against stuff like Terapagos. So Gardevoir also doing pretty well. And that's pretty much the top 16. So if we take a look at the statistics right there, Terapagos was the most converting list. It was not even on the pie chart during the day 1, but then out of nowhere, it was the most played deck in day 2. So having the craziest conversion rate I've ever seen. Raging Bolt was well positioned with, I would say, it was the most played deck with 314 people playing the deck. Same goes for Charizard, second most popular deck. About 300 people played that as well during the event, and those actually converted pretty well. There was Regidrago, Lugia, and then Dragapult. We do see a little bit of Iron Thorns, Gardevoir, and all that stuff, but yeah, a little bit of rogue stuff in here as well with Clove, Dialga, and stuff also making an appearance. And the Goldango, only 2 copies, are actually 2 people playing Goldango, but converted incredibly well with that top 4 finish. Okay, any other unique list? I'm gonna be checking out here a little bit if there's anything unique. There's a Snorlax block. Snorlax block didn't do all that well, I suppose. There was also a way you could be playing Palkia with the Noctowl, and Lost Box was around, but it was not well positioned. So that's it for the Dortmund Regionals, I would say. The expected decks were able to convert, I would say. Raging Ball and Charizard. Terapagos was the surprise of the tournament, as it didn't do too well over in Japan, but now over in the West, I expected as much because I was on Terapagos very early on as well, but switched to my mainstay Lugia before the event happened. So now let's check out the other tournament that happened at the same weekend. The regional in Joinville in Brazil was won by Jericho Valencia from Chile with Lugia. This Lugia list is also playing Torton, so Torton seems to be becoming a little bit less a mainstay in the list. Also coming back with Fezandipity. Not only can you snipe with it to surprise the opponent, but it can draw your cards, so you can draw into that Luminion boss play if it's already on the field. If there's a threat and you slap down Fezandipity, what can they do, right? With the help of Torton, you're going to be able to transform into a Minccino out of nowhere, and then Cinccino can finish off some high HP Pokemon. Think about, for example, a Dragapult out of nowhere, which you can one-shot, or something like a Charizard, because typically Charizard lists are actually punishing you if you slap down Mincinos, because they can easily Dusknoir onto it, which is why I actually lost in Dortmund to Charizard. But yeah, also Terapagos doing really well here as well. But before we dive into those other lists, we see here Charizard the most played deck at day 2, Raging Bolt, and then Terapagos, Regidrago. We see a little bit more Snorlax stall over in the Joinville Regionals. Lugia doing a little bit less good, but it eventually did win the tournament, so we give credit where credit is due. And let's take a look at the rest of the list. There is Giovanni Sasso from Brazil being able to convert into 2nd place. Yeah, the scary thing with the Terapagos is that the Briar is in the list, so you can take additional prize cards. It is very similar to the stuff we've seen before. There's a Vitality band. Sometimes people gravitate towards Defiance band instead, but the Vitality band allows Terapagos to slap for a whopping 230, which is actually a better number in specific matchups. And the cool thing is, with the 302 line of Dusknoir, you're very reliant on Candy, and there's only a 101 line of Pidgeot, which seems to be the mainstay. That we also saw that with Tort Ratcliffe's build. Very funky enough, a Clove Electrode making it into 3rd place with Alejandro Luciano Ejo, if I pronounced it correctly. So look at this list. We see Clove. Why is Clove good? You hit weakness against Terapagos, you hit weakness against Miraidon, you have access to late game Blood Moon, and you can even donk people because of that promo Peturant. So what's there not to love? You put some Ancient Energy boost capsules onto your Brute Bonnets, poison the opponent, and out of nowhere you can donk people. Definitely in combination with that Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, that can definitely be the case. There's the Binding Mochi as well for some more damage output. And as mentioned, the late game Blood Moon is great, but also an Electrode V is going to be able to slap quite the punch. Let's say you poison the opponent in combination with the Binding Mochi. The Binding Mochi will allow you to slap 40 additional damage, so that's 280 in total. And they're also poisoned, meaning with Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, there is definitely something going that you can get some crazy big numbers, and that's actually very funky. I wonder how this will do. It's something I really need to try out on the channel, because I always love myself a rogue deck doing this well. Joao Requena with Terapagos with Dusknoir seems to be the mainstay in the format right now. I think it will be the 3rd most popular deck in the Little Regionals upcoming in like 3 weeks. I think there's also some American Regionals in between, if I'm not mistaken. I have to really check that out, but yeah, upcoming regionals will definitely come back with more Terapagos than ever before. Matias Marticardi from Argentina playing Iron Thorn, so Iron Thorn is also still finding its way in the meta. This is a very similar build than the build from Worlds, and it actually is coming back with 3 Canceling Cologne instead of 2 Canceling Cologne and 3 Lost City. So more Colognes to work with right here. Crushing Hammer is also very annoying. There's Carlos Medina Astini from Peru, and we see Snorlax here. Classic build with double Mimikyu, double Cornerstone Ogerpon, also coming back with the Chiyu, and 2 copies of Fire Energy to mill a little bit more aggressively. Handheld Fan, the accompanying Flute, you know Snorlax block by now. There is also a Charizard, Pidgeot, Raphael, UT with this build. Playing Maximum Belt as the ace pack card of choice. You don't see that very often in my opinion. Most of the time it's Prime Catcher or Unfair Stamp, but with Maximum Belt you could surprise opponents that don't know if Charizard will be able to hit enough damage. With this build you can. There's a Torton in here, so for the surprise factor, or if all of your Charmanders are knocked out, you can go for Torton. And also you should know is that the list is not playing Manaphy, so not a lot of lists are playing Manaphy these days, as something I noted here from the tournaments. Then the top 8, finishing it off, is a Raging Bolt with Antonio Jardim from Brazil. A very streamlined build of Raging Bolt, Ogerpon, with 3 Pokemon catchers, a lot of tracking shoes, even a Crispin thrown in there, a Vacuum. So if I would be playing Raging Bolt, it would be something very similar to this exact 60. Okay, any other unique decks? There was a Roaring Moon at 11th place in Peru. Let's see what it is. It is playing with the Darkrai VSTAR line, so you can get back specific puzzle pieces, whether you want your Prime Catcher back or an additional rare candy, because the list is playing Dusknoir. So Dusknoir was literally everywhere. The card is kind of crazy. And any other unique decks that we're going to talk about? Probably not. Another Claw doing pretty well. And that's about it. So Claw, surprise of the tournament, and over in Dortmund, it was, of course, Jelle van Kampen with, of course, that, Goldango list. So that was both of the regionals that happened this weekend. Hopefully, guys, enjoyed the analysis of this video. If you did, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Helps out in many ways. We are trying to reach 100,000 subscribers. Will we get there by the end of the year? It all comes down to you guys. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Also, I want a big thank you for my sponsors, DragonShield.com, for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. Use the coupon ZAPLOS5 to get 5% off your order. There's also TC Evolutions for your ability markers and damage counters. You can get 10% off using the coupon ZAPLOSTCG. There's PokemonStore.com for your TCG Live code card needs. You can get 5% off using the coupon ZAPLOSTCG. And CardMarket.com for European players, where you're able to buy as well as sell cards to people all across Europe. Use the referral name ZAPLOSTCG to help support the channel. So if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like. And I will see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. See you then. Peace.